coffee's hot. I expect it to be this hot.
I don't even know if I knew you were a coffee person.
Yeah, no, I do the coffee. I do the coffee. I'm about to get a coffee maker. I've been doing Keurig coffees for a while because that's what my now former roommate had. He left the Keurig, but I may advance over to a coffee maker. We will see.
Isn't a Keurig a coffee maker though? Like, but it just makes Keurig little cup things.
Yeah, it's the cup things. It's faster, I suppose, but there's apparently a bunch of one, you don't really have as much of a variety in a sense because like you're not really making it yourself. It's just kind of already pre-made into that cup and you kind of just pop it in. So it's like, all right, I guess I'm gonna have cinnamon, I'm gonna have medium roast, jalapeno. I don't know what coffee makers are doing. But like when you have like a coffee maker that you could brew, there's a little bit more in terms of the grounded beans that there's a little bit more variety. Plus, for the environment, apparently the Keurigs are pretty awful.
I also heard that the Keurig machines, like, you get like plastic in your coffee because the way that the thing like pokes the cup or something like that, it's like, how can it not get plastic in your coffee?
Let me check this out real quick.
You probably can't see it, but it's in there, Kirk.
It's like I'm tasting a Five Below.
Proper Ebonics.
Proper Ebonics.
Proper Ebonics.
Alan. We're in the building.
Earlier than usual. We never revealed the time, 11 o'clock. We're doing it earlier than usual today. So we're going to get extra fueled up. And we got some things to catch up on, man. It's been a while. I think last I saw you was, 2 weeks ago?
Was it 2 weeks?
I feel like we saw each other in person after we recorded.
I see you in person? Where I see you at?
Damn.
I don't think I see you.
If you could help us out with this one. If you could tell us when we coordinated and bumped into each other in the streets.
Because I remember
Phantom. That was the last time I saw you.
Phantom, but was that before or after we recorded?
That may have been before. Yeah. That may have been before.
Yeah, because we recorded and I came back from the festival thing.
That's right. Yeah, I know that would have been. Yeah, so I guess that was a while ago. So yeah, about 2 weeks ago. So things have happened. Things have occurred in life. And on this episode, we are going to discuss those things.
Sound like Obama.
I did that intentionally.
Proper Ebonics. Alan?
Yeah, man. So first off, how have you been?
I'm good, man. Like, I've been busy.
Yeah.
Been good. I've been in the comedy streets where
Nice.
I love to be. You know what I mean? So when I'm in the comedy streets heavy, I'm usually good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, everything else is okay. I was watching Sam Jay's show on HBO Max.
Okay.
And she was talking about how stand-up comedy is like her therapy, whereas though like things could be going on crazy in the world, but once she does stand-up, she feels good. She feels better. Like everything is okay. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's me. You know, like as long as I'm doing stand-up, I really can't complain. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm good. You know what I'm saying? What about yourself?
That's I take the opposite approach. I go on stand up and I just complain. I get up on stage and I let the people know my grievances. That's not actually true. Sometimes I aim to do that. I feel like it's like, being more candid, maybe not necessarily complaining, but being a little more personal on stage can be therapeutic in some sense. But my therapeutic standpoint of stand-up comedy is more so like, I'm doing something that I enjoy doing, but it's never really like expressing my deep thoughts, or at least the ones that are non-humorous. So yeah, I think the short answer is things have been going pretty good. My roommate, he officially moved out, so this space is just Kirk's own. This apartment, which it's a lot to process. I'm trying to work on furniture. That's been my big thing for the last 2 weeks. Trying to get right type of furniture, deciding what kind of furniture I even want, and trying to process feelings of being overwhelmed with this much space. So that's a big thing that's been going on.
Yeah, I don't think that I know for a fact, not even I don't think. I know that I didn't understand as an adult the idea of furniture. Like when you're a kid, you don't understand. Like that couch costs a lot of money. Like
Uh,
those tables and chairs and bed frame, you know what I'm saying? Like this stuff is like you don't think about that. You be like, yo, I'm gonna move into a new spot or I got this new space. I'm gonna get you don't think like, yo, I gotta pay to feel this with stuff. Like my parents didn't just they didn't walk into a house and this couch is here. You know what I mean? Like they had to buy that.
I'm still not fully realizing that. Like, I have all the space there, and I'm not thinking like, oh man, well, I gotta get particular utensils. I gotta get a sofa. My first thought was like, oh man, like let me get like a slide. Like, I'm still very like childlike in my mentality of like, oh well, I'll get artwork for this. Like, let me go to Spencer's first. Like that's so I'm still trying to work on that. I did get a TV stand off. Shout to Facebook Market. Shout to Facebook Market in Coatesville. Got a TV stand, which has been pretty nice. I was in Denver for the week, not for the full week, but I went out on Wednesday. Came back.
Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. Technically, Aurora, Colorado, but it's like they're right next to each other. So I'm gonna call it Denver.
I said Colorado because there is a Denver, Pennsylvania.
That'd be great if I was like, yeah, I was in Denver 30 minutes ago. I did not know there was a Denver, Pennsylvania, but shout out to those people. Yeah, went out there for a work situation, and it was one of the first, not one for me, but one of the first one for the company. It was their big gathering, like their annual gathering that they do, where it's like they talk about the company, have motivational speeches, and they like acknowledge people and all that stuff. And it was cool. It was cool. It was one of those things where they have like a big thing at the last night where it's like, oh, well, everyone dress up and we're going to have like a fun night and dance the night away and wobble and such. And every year, I've been to like 3 of these. Every year, I always bring like khakis and a button-down shirt. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like a casual sort of situation, sort of thing. We get to be flexible, dance in these moves. And I was even telling one of my coworkers that I was rooming with, I was like, because he was looking at the pamphlet and they're like, oh, like they encourage some people to wear tuxedos. And I was like, yeah, no one's going to wear a tuxedo. Like, can you imagine coming here wearing a tuxedo? You're going to feel ridiculous.
Right.
Joke's on me, man. I go down the steps into like the banquet, and I'm realizing more and more of like, oh, everyone's wearing like 3-piece suits. Everyone's wearing like bedazzled like gowns.
Bedazzled
And sequins gowns and all that stuff. There were bow ties. There were tuxedos and everything. And I was there in my like casual Friday.
Kirk just there in his Sperry's.
Just boat shoes. I looked like how I would dress for a show. That's pretty much like it was like a nice show that I was going to. So I was like, oh, I'm going to put my nice show clothes on.
Is this guy about to perform? What's happening?
Oh, goodness. Oh, that sent chills down my spine just now. But they did have a comedian there that did the motivational speech. So shout out to Fly Girl.
Girl?
Yeah, so she's like she's more like a motivational speaker. I don't know how she technically labels herself. Motivational speaker that has experience in the Marines and has like a really cool story. But she started it off with saying she mentioned like, I'm an unemployed comedian, so I know the energy of this room. And I was like, oh, interesting. I started seeing it from that standpoint of like comedian on stage. She did like a good 45. It was mainly motivational with like a lot of elements of comedy, but it was cool. It was cool to see someone do motivational speaking with elements of comedy in it.
Yeah, I've seen that when I was at the ABF festival. There was a lot of that going on. Like there was a lot of like motivational, but like people are like actors and comedians, and they're like, you can tell they're performing, but you're like motivated. It's like that was great. Like now I really want to do this. There's something about entertainers motivating you than like a teacher. You know what I mean?
Do you think you'd ever do that? Like say down the road, like two-parter. Do you think you'd ever do corporate gigs? And do you ever think you would segue into comedy motivation speeches?
So corporate gigs for sure. Like, right. give me the bag. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it.
Nice.
Motivation, yeah, I would do that. Like if it was a field that I was knowledgeable in or something like that, like if they were looking for like black people that went to a junior college, I would speak. You know what I mean? Like
All right.
I know about that. Like if it was like a seminar of like single dads, I would speak at that. I would
Both of these
motivate.
are like oddly specific and vague at the same time. Like, black people that went to middle school. Yeah, I did that.
You got a unique experience to be black in the middle school, you know? Yeah, but I would do it. Like I could do it. Like I feel like my comedy is kind of that way anyway. Like I'm talking about like society and the world and giving my point of views and what I think to be better and like I talk about parenting and I think like it's kind of already that. It's just like I said, it just got to be a field that I'm knowledgeable in. I could definitely do motivation speeches.
Yeah, I think so. I would do
Could
them.
you could you do it?
I think so. I think like there's a lot of like fun one, like you mentioned, like get the bag sort of thing. I feel like corporate ones can be a cool thing. Carnivals, in a way, can be kind of a. I feel like they probably pay well. I don't know if I'd want to commit to a carnival, but it's something I wouldn't be like, no, I'm definitely not doing. I think I'd be open to having a team, and then we do like a 7 day trip carnival where we're the comedy acts. Although I guess the people would be seeing the same act 7 days in a row, so I don't know how that would work.
You mean you're going to be performing for the performers, or you're
No,
going
no,
to be
no,
like part of the?
like a carnival cruise sort of thing where it's like the.
Oh, you said carnival. I'm
Oh
thinking
yeah,
like a
sorry, yeah,
fair.
no, no, not like circus. Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting if like carnival workers, like clowns, needed like an extra pep talk sort of thing. I did motivation for them, but no, I mean the cruise ships, like going to Bahamas and Santa Cruz and all that stuff.
No, that's a big thing in comedy. You know that, right?
Yeah,
Did you see that? Did you see that poster that girl put a thing out about the guy looking for comedians for cruise ships? You see that?
no, I didn't.
Yeah, it's in the group. I emailed this cruise ship dude, and they got back to me like
What?
I never, but it was like a blanket response, but it was things that I never knew, like the pay, how long, the amount of material you need, bro. Like what they said you need to be able to do 30 minutes clean because it'll be like it's a clean kid show, 1 minute,
Right.
30 minutes clean, and then two different 45-minute sets.
Okay, so that's wait, two different 45-minute sets on top of a clean act. Oh wow, that's. I feel like it
Because
could kind of like.
you're going to be performing for the same people possibly 3 times on this week-long cruise.
I wonder how many people just say yes to that, even though that's not the case. They're like, I have. I don't blame you. I feel like that's a hard thing to kind of quantify. Of like, yeah, I have two separate 45 minutes, also 30 minutes of clean material. Like, what constitutes clean material?
The clean material was no, it was PG. They said PG, like no sexual innuendos, no cursing.
Hmm.
I mean, other than that, so look, what the guy was asking for, he was like, he only wanted to see a 10-minute clean clip and a 10-minute regular clip, and like that's what he was going off of. You know what I mean? So it's like if you can get you listen, this is what I learned in life. If somebody asks me, can I do something? If it's in my realm of like things that I do, I'm gonna just say yes and figure it out.
Mm.
Like that's way better for me and what I've learned what I'm trying to do than being like, oh no, I don't think I can. I'll get back to you when I'm gonna just say yeah. And I told you before, like that pressure and that deadline makes me do what I gotta do. It'll make me write. It'll make me come up with finish a joke I haven't finished in years. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, I
I
say
get
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If that's what you're thinking about, sort of thing, like you like, especially if you like have a deadline. But even if you don't, if you're like consumed with a thought or a goal, if that's going to be on your mind, that's going to be you're going to be producing thoughts and ideas about that. It's almost like the positive aspect of ruminating. People talk about ruminating on thoughts, and usually there's a connotation of having negative thoughts and ruminating. I feel like there's positive ruminating as well. If you have like a goal in mind, it's like, oh, well, you're going to be ruminating of different ways to tackle that. So yeah, I think having a deadline definitely helps with that too.
Yeah. But
you gotta get on
I'm
cruise, bro.
no,
You gotta get.
bro. Like it's not even. It wasn't even a thing. Like I know people like talk down on like cruise comedian, but like I'm not a cruise comedian. I'm just a comedian trying to get a check. So I don't care about
I
any of
think
that.
they gotta relabel it. You gotta call yourself an ocean comedian, an oceanic comedian. I think that'd be kind of wild. A water
Oh,
comic,
she call me a wet comedian.
a wet comic. Oh boy. And you make the shirts and see how they sell, sort of thing. If that's a thing that pops off, then yeah, go for it. That's like,
Wet comedian. Yeah, but man, I'm telling you, I'm gonna submit. I just I gotta get like a 10-minute clean tape. See if I can. Where can I record 10 minutes of whatever? But
yeah.
I'm gonna submit. I'm gonna see what
I
happens.
forgot. You're doing the music fest thing?
Yeah, I'm doing it the 5th and the 6th.
Do you know if you're on the clean show? The one
I
that's like at
don't.
4 p.m.
I don't think I am, but I put that I could. I did last time I did that. I did the clean show.
Oh, that wouldn't be a bad place to record. Like if you end up doing, because it's a 10-minute set you'd be doing.
You're right. You're right.
I know.
I didn't even think about that. I know. But at the time, I'm pretty sure I put on it that I could do the clean show, but I just didn't. But yeah, man, you should see the amount of before we get like deep into the topics, like the amount of comedians that are afraid of clean comedy, and they think that clean means they gotta not be themselves, and clean like no, man, clean just means you can write a well-crafted joke for every audience. That's all that means. Like it doesn't mean like you're not sacrificing comedy or who you are. It's like, yo, can you write jokes for everybody? That's all.
Yeah, no, it's a shout out to Glenn Tickle, man. That was one of the first comics I saw locally of like, I feel like a lot of times people have a connotation of like, oh, if you're clean, you're only doing a certain type of room, or you're mainly just doing like religious rooms or whatever. It's like, no, you're doing comedy rooms. You're doing comedy rooms. It's just you don't necessarily use particular language or subject matter, not even necessarily subject matter, because you can tackle wild things while staying clean. It's just a matter of like the vulgarity aspect of it, just maybe losing some, if not all of that. That's something I can't even say it's something I've aimed to do, but it's something that I've just kind of adopted. Where it's like,
it's a vulgarity is a crutch. So it's like, and I'm telling you, I've seen people use curse words as like the
punchline. Yeah,
like, it's just like what? Like black comedians do this a lot. They be like nigga, like that's not a punchline, nigga. Like,
yeah, I feel like a lot of times, if you're riding with the person sort of thing, and you're kind of like you investing and buying into like who they are as a person, and that's their natural reaction to the circumstance that they present. A lot of times that can be funny because it's just like just giving up some sort of just vulgar answer or something. But yeah, I do see that as well. People using that as just the punchline, where it could feel, I don't want to say lazy, but it feels like unfinished. Like you could do more with it if you chose to. Sometimes if people do that and it works for them, go for it, sort of thing. But I do see what you mean on that.
It doesn't work. Don't let people believe that what they're doing, it doesn't work. It's lazy. Every joke should not end the curse word or sexual innuendo.
I don't know.
It's the easy way out. And not every joke, bro, it's okay. You got a joke or two, but I'm telling you, I've seen people go up there. They don't have punchlines. They just yell. Yeah. They're like dance. They'll curse. It's like, no, just write a punchline, bro. Like it's easier. It's really easier. It's less work. If you, I used to do that. Like I would literally have jokes that didn't have endings, but I would just get louder.
Yeah, you know I mean? I feel like we're subtweeting Kyle Neff right now. Yeah, I think how you phrase it is correct in that sometimes it could work. Like I could think of a few Kevin Hart jokes where like that's the punchline, just his lack of better words, his attitude towards the circumstance. Yeah. And that's like it's just a funny outburst and release of like the tension he's built into circumstance. But if it's for every joke, it gets tiring, and you see that a lot at Mike's, where it's like everything is just all right. That wasn't really a punchline. That was just you kind of like screaming for a bit. So if you're listening to this and you're maybe starting comedy or want some tips in comedy, do yourself a favor. Try to avoid. Do a challenge for yourself. Avoid vulgarity for a bit or two, and see what results come up.
To make you 10 times better a comedian. I've done that. I got to a point where I noticed like a lot of like my punchlines and like my metaphors like sexual involving, and like the joke would be like a clean joke. I got a joke about Disney World.
Nice.
And it's like, but I would end it with like calling back about like vagina. I'm just like, why? Like, how'd I go from Disney World to like,
Damn.
You know what I mean? But
what Pluto do to you?
Right. But I kept doing that. Like it was like a time period when I was writing. Like I kept like going sexual with the punch. I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, why am I? And I had to like focus and like, get in it because because now I can't do cruise ships with those jokes if I
you know who kind of tainted this approach for us. I feel like you may know the answer. Someone that was an advocate for his approach for years and then got in some trouble. And then people kind of are like, well, why do we even need to take that approach? Because you were kind of wilding in the background. I'm referring to Bill Cosby. That was his big thing of like, we'll try writing a joke without cursing sort of thing. And even shout out to Will Smith, try writing a rap without cursing sort of thing. And then you see it kind of manifests in different ways, the vulgarity. So I don't know if that's helping the cause or not, but if you're comic listening, consider that approach.
You cannot deny what Bill Cosby did in comedy.
Chris Pat, if we could edit that out.
You cannot deny it. Like, he did terrible things outside of comedy, but he did great things within comedy. And what I'm telling you, writing in curse words for every joke makes it. If you're just like talking and you're just like curse words come out, whatever. But like when you're writing it and it has to have a curse word for it to punch for every joke, you're doing something wrong. It's the easy way out.
And if you're hearing this advice from us, you're hearing it from some of the legends in comedy. Perhaps people should be taking note from you, Alan, because you had a pretty big step on one of my favorite websites of all time. I feel like this is probably one of my proper suggestions at one point a few years ago, this website, and to see you on it, tell the people about this.
So I'm not even sure if I'm on it technically.
Yeah, you're on it.
But I know that there's IMDB has a ad running on social media right now, and it's like a video clip from the American Black Film Festival when we were on the red carpet. Issa Rae was talking, and Ben Crump was there, and a lot of people were there. And like on the first, like the thumbnail clip is like a picture of like me and like two other comedians like smiling. So it's like the first thing you see on this ad online on IMDb is like a picture of me. Like,
that's wonderful.
So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Bro, that's bonkers. That's Internet Movie Database. For those that don't know, and at this point, if you don't know, shame on you. The Internet Movie Database has catalogs all films, also television shows too that expanded, and it's been a staple of cinema. I want to say for the last probably 30 years. This is the site I would go to every day during and after school in high school for the message boards. They've since deleted the message boards because apparently it got pretty toxic. But it's still just a great way to look up films and people that you know in the movies and even some of the background players. So props to you, man. That's a big one.
Thanks, man. But I didn't know this was going on. People were like messaging me like, "Yo, you on this?" I'm like, "What's that?" I didn't even know. Nobody said anything. I didn't know they were at the festival. I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I'm not on the website though. Like, I'm not on like IMDb. You can't like IMDb me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Are you going to sue IMDb? They're like using your likings to get clicks, but they don't have a page for you.
Using my likeness.
Yeah. I mean, what's that about?
They know that it's coming soon. You know, they're like, it's like an appetizer. They're just putting it out there. Like, this guy's going to be on the real website soon.
Yeah, man. I'm glad to have seen it on social media instead of going on to IMDb. Because if I went on IMDb and just saw you on there, I would have dropped the phone. It would have landed in the toilet. It would have been a whole situation. So I'm glad that I got somewhat of a heads up. But that's a cool one, man.
Yeah, man. I didn't. Like I said, I didn't even understand what was happening. Like, somebody sent me the screenshot, and I was like, I had like went to IMDb's Instagram, but I couldn't find it. I'm like, where? But I was like, and I noticed like, oh, it's a promotion. Like, I don't know how they can promote without posting it on their page, but
their IMDb page, so like on the homepage, they'll have like slides of certain events. So like if you were to click that thumbnail, it probably would have taken you to a page that breaks down different events, and that event being one of them. So that's probably the case. Like they have like those sliders was like, here's this photo, and it slides to this photo, kind of like how AOL does. Shout out to AOL. So it was likely one of those. So yeah, check out IMDb when you get a chance for yourself. You may actually be able to see what they wrote in there. They may have mentioned you in there.
Is that a new credit? Can I use this credit? IMDb.
Your first IMDb credit is you being on IMDb. I think you can do that. Yeah, I think you should. I legitimately would use that as a credit. Like if they're like for comedy resume stuff, if they're like, what are some things you've done? I'd be like, well, I was on IMDb one time.
They were like, what? What do you mean?
I'd be like, how dare you mean? What do I mean? That's again a battle with them over that.
Yeah, man. It's I've been here before, right? I'm in a weird space where I'm getting like a lot of public acknowledgement.
Right.
And it come and goes. But one of the weirdest things is like we hear about this a lot. Like when people like say they made it, when like people come out the woodworks. You know what I mean? It's like you see my post, you see my IMDb post or whatever. People like messaging me like, "Yo, you got the same phone number." I'm like what? Why? Like why? Like,
well, like they're like suggesting that you change your phone number because it's going to get crazy.
No, like because they have my old phone number and they want to call me for whatever reason.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Like I had one guy. Like I grew up with him and his brothers. Like my dogs for life, right? But like his older brother was who I was cool with. So it was four brothers. It was four brothers, right? And like the third brother like messaged me. He was like, "Yo, bro," on Facebook, like, "Yo, bro, hit me up." He was like, "It's very important." He was calling me on Facebook Messenger and everything. I'm thinking something happened to somebody. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh shoot, what's going on? So I called him back on Facebook Messenger, which I never do. And he was like, yo, bro, just want to say I'm proud of you. I'm like, you can't, like, you scared me. You know what I mean? Like, I thought something was wrong. You called me, texted me saying, yo, hit me up. It's important. It's urgent. And you just tell me you're proud of me. It's like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
I appreciate that, but you can't do that.
Like, yeah, the urgency level of it can be a bit concerning. Yeah. I could see that being a bit of an issue. That's I feel like I've had, not over like comedy stuff, but I've had like my aunts do that where it's like call me right now, and it's like, oh my goodness, and it's like I need help moving this table. It's like, all right, like you could have texted that. You didn't really need to press urgency on someone can be a bit demanding.
Yeah, man. So I mean, so that's what happened with the IMDb thing and all that. People think you're famous, but then it'll be back to normal next week. I'll just be regular old Alan at the mics and shit, you know.
And well, you know the saying, man, more internet movie database, more problems. So that could happen. And sorry you're going through it. But
I'm not whoa. I'm not going through it. I'm just saying, I appreciate.
For those not watching the video, Alan is tearing up a little bit. He's getting pretty tense.
I don't appreciate the love, you know what I'm saying? But you know, just telling you, it's just funny to see how people like I got on World Star like last year. And, like people were like calling me who haven't called me in years. It's like how can you even bring yourself to doing that?
Like, I love those calls of like the people that made no difference between like an IMDb versus World Star Hip Hop. Like the type of people that are calling like, hey, I recognize you on World Star.
No, yeah, it was funny because it was like hood dudes too. They were like, yo, bro. I'm like, oh, you see me on World Star.
One topic I want to bring up, and it kind of ties into it a little bit. There's something that I got off Crime and Punishment, so citations right off the bat. But there's this idea that they talk about a lot in the book of this concept of extraordinary people versus common people. And the whole idea of it, and the reason why they talk about it is that the main character, he's pretty much striving to be extraordinary. And he makes this distinction is that common people are they're average people. They're not bad, but they're also not great. They abide by laws. They don't really create anything. They kind of just go with what is the status quo, and they don't really have the foresight to see what's in the future, or what things need to be done, even if it's for good or worse, in order to progress themselves and humanity. Whereas extraordinary people, they do have that foresight. They're able to create the laws. They're able to create new words, new ideas, new concepts. They're able to perhaps break the law and commit crimes because ultimately they're doing what's good for the world and themselves. Because what's better for themselves is going to be better for the world, sort of thing. And I was curious on this day because they relate this idea to like pretty much crime. The character Raskolnikov, he commits these crimes because he believes that he is one of the extraordinary, and the idea of being common is agonizing for him. I think this could relate to just everyday life as well, though, even to like social media. I think that's one of the big tie-ins for this one. People that are going to continuously strive to be exceptional. My question: Do you feel that that's something that people continuously try to do more and more now with their lives? Like there's less acceptance of the idea of being average or being okay or not being deemed as exceptional. That everyone's in this rat race to be this extraordinary human being. Do you see that?
Yeah, of course, like 110%. Like, and I know that because like they try to make it seem like people with 9 to 5s are losing. You ever see that? It's just like,
Yes.
You got to get on your hustle, be an entrepreneur. It's like, nah, some people could just be a secretary and be happy with that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people I think people forget happiness is different between each person. It's just like, you don't have to be being an entrepreneur. You don't have to be an entertainer. You could just be a regular person and be happy. So I think everyone thinks that being extraordinary means happy. It's not true. Like, there's plenty of happy trash men. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it's about.
A lot of times it's a matter of like reframing of what extraordinary is. Like extraordinary can be those people that are trashmen. Extraordinary because they found a way to secure fulfillment and happiness through doing what they do, versus the constant chase and constant desire. In a lot of ways, that is unattainable for many people. I feel like that's something that a lot of people go through, including myself in some aspects.
Yeah.
Of like, if you constantly want something else, you constantly see something else as a next step, and because of that, you don't really reach the top of the staircase, figuratively, because you're just constantly just wanting to climb. Yeah. And it can be agonizing at times.
Yeah, I think that they say that about like success and money. Like once you taste it, you just want to keep going. But
Yeah.
I think that people just need to write down the actual goal. It's just like, do I want $1 million? And when I get $1 million, what am I going to do? It's like, once I get to where I'm going, I ain't got to go as hard. I can just go hard to progress. You know what I mean? But it feels like once we get it, we're like, oh, we got to get more instead of being content and happy. I'm telling you, I think happiness is skewed. People think that you got to get more and more and more and more and more to be happy. When I don't believe that that's the case. Like, I feel like it's just understanding. Like, people don't understand that they're not happy with the journey. You know what I mean? It's more of like, all right, I got this. So now I'm happy or not. Instead of being like, yo, I did all these things to get here. That journey made me happy. That's what people say, trust the process or taking a scenic route. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, sometimes the journey is where the happiness is, not the actual goal at the end, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think a lot of good practice for people is also reflect on the journey. Like, also, like, try your best to enjoy the journey, but that may be hard to do sometimes if you're maybe conditioned to continuing to see the next step, sort of thing. So sometimes just taking this step back or forward, and just being like, oh yeah, those things were done. Those things were done, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I had a moment like that in San Diego where it was like, it was the last day there, and I told you all stuff about getting there as a whole thing. But did the trip, and it was my last day there, and I kept just going super fast to like try to get it to the airport and all that stuff, and kind of make sure that everything was on time. I had a second just randomly on the street, just stopped, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I did the trip. Like I did the trip. Like I reflected, like, oh yeah, that was kind of cool." So sometimes it's good just to have those moments. But before we leave this topic, I'm curious, like I say, because I'm workshopping our motivational speeches. If you haven't guessed it by now, do you ever think that? Do you ever think it's and I always mispronounce this word, utilitarianism, and I botched that word a little bit, but the concept of a lot of times leaders, they'll do particular things in order for the better of the group, the better of humanity in a lot of ways. And in this case, Raskolnikov, he was doing this for what he thought was the sake of his family, to kind of end the suffering of his family and collective suffering of the society and all that stuff. Do you ever think it's okay to do some sort of misstep or wrongdoing if it means that it's going to improve your surroundings of people you care about?
Yes.
Yes. You do think?
Yeah, I did it last night.
Damn. Alan Raskolnikov.
So, as a parent, okay, so look, yesterday we went to the movies, right?
Nice.
And water, I just drink water. I don't drink anything else, right? And water at the movie theaters costs like $4.
It's ridiculous.
So I brought in my own water.
I like that.
So I broke the rule to keep the money in my pocket because I need that money for my kids. So I'm not going to spend like the water at the movie theater for one bottle costs the same amount as a case of water, of bottled water. So it's like, I got to break the rule to help my family out because that money in my pocket benefits them. You know what I'm saying?
That is a perfect example right there. I like that. It's a good example. And yeah, I'm all about that type of crime. I will bring treats into the movie theater. I'll bring hand warmers. I'm completely with you on that one. Unfortunately, our friend Raskolnikov, he took a little bit more of a dire approach with this. With spoiler alerts, if you haven't read the book or know the plot of the book, for those listening, he murders a pawnbroker, and then unexpectedly murders her sister as well. He didn't plan on the sister part. She just kind of came up in the room and was like, all right. And he was doing this for the sake of, he was like, oh, I'm going to kill the pawnbroker and use the money that she has because she's a pawnbroker to better my life and my sister and mom. That's the whole thing. And I don't want to go into it too much, but he, like, immediately afterwards, he just it's just ridden with the idea that it may have not been what he thought it was. I'll leave it at that.
Murder's a bit much.
Yeah, he took it to a new level on that one. Yeah, not even new level, just a level that perhaps should not have been taken to.
Your closest loved one. If somebody said you had to murder to keep them alive, like, just could you do that?
I think I don't think it's a yes or no sort of thing. I think it's really circumstantial of what, because that's a crazy circumstance to even be put in. So it's probably some crazy context around that. So where it's not like I just walk in Staples and someone's like, hey, like it's some sort of like situation where our environment has been shifted completely. Yeah. So I don't have a yes or no without particular context. But I hope that doesn't happen. That'd be a bummer.
You and your mom walking in Staples.
Don't give examples. I don't want to think about this.
and they grab your mom and put a stapler to her neck.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, shout out to my mom. She's in a hotel struggling with COVID right now.
Oh man, shout out to you.
Yeah, she's on the upswing. now,
Okay.
but she got in the whip with someone that was tested positive. It was a whole situation, but yeah, she's doing better now. She's just stuck in Florida. That's the worst part of it for her. I'm stuck in
Oh,
Florida.
darn.
I'm stuck in Florida at a hotel until this goes away, sort of thing.
It's a new. I feel like it's a new like uptick in cases, and I feel like a lot of people I know are getting it again right now. You know.
Yeah, which you gotta be kind of careful on stuff. Before we get into one of the segments, I was curious, how did Mickey's Black Box Theater? How was that experience?
Oh, the show is great. Show is great. Yeah, you know, it's anytime you have a theater and it's people there, you really can't mess that up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you can't mess that up, you know what I mean? So
What
it
do you
was
mean by can't? Like you shouldn't, or like you? It's hard to fumble the ball.
you can it's really hard to fumble the ball. It's really hard to not do well and have a good time. It's
Yeah.
kind of like I don't know how I explain it. It's like you really gotta mess it up. Like somebody like paying to come to a theater or a they're a black box. They want to laugh. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not like we just popped up at a bar and we're trying to fight for the audience attention. You know, it's just like no, like we're sitting back. We see you on the big stage. You got a big stage to work with, to walk back and forth like Chris Rock if you want to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, you really can't mess it up. Like you really gotta just not be good to mess it up. Like every comedian that night did a great job. Everybody, it was great. The energy was good. I got a free pulled chicken sandwich, and it was great. You know.
Yeah. So like I saw the photos. Shout to producer Patty put out a video. Showed like the audience turnout. Looked like a solid show. I was telling you, man, like when I hear what you're talking about in terms of like when you have a packed audience like that, it feels very like say like a bar show. It feels like almost sporadic sometimes. Like okay, well we have this table that's really into it. We have this table they're not as into it. There's TV over there.
Yep.
When you're in a theater and they pay for a comedy show, it's like no, we're all one. It feels like a very just like we're a unit, and it's you with the unit sort of thing. I almost want to say you against the unit, which in a lot of ways kind of, but it doesn't necessarily feel that way. If you're doing well, it's like, oh yeah, I'm with the unit. Like I'm leading the unit right now. So I get what you mean. It's kind of harder to if you're doing your act. Typically, it's harder to fumble that.
No, it's hard to drop the ball. I've seen comedians drop the ball recently. Like I mean, like not do well because they get in their own heads. But I think that if you are confident in your set, an environment like this is just you just do your thing. You don't even got to try hard. You don't got to like come up with some new idea. No, just do your thing. A lot of comedians, and maybe even entertainers, they'll get in their own head and think they got to do extra and do more. It's like no, just do what you've been doing that got you here, and you're good.
That's the if anything, everything you were doing up to is practice up. Like this is the one where it's like, oh no, do the stuff that you've been working on. And if you want to have like a moment or whatever, like if you something comes up top, trust yourself or whatever. But yeah, that's one where it's like this is the perfect time to see it as almost like you're getting a tape out of it. Like how sometimes people will treat like the Philly's Funniest thing of like this is an event where it's like I'm just doing my A material.
Yeah,
do that and you'll be fine in those settings.
Yeah, man. I had that experience. I didn't do Philly's Funniest. Never doing it again. But I
never again.
Yeah, never again. But I did perform at the Helium 2 nights ago.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
So at that podcast, and then we have sex. It's ran and produced by comedian Kristen Civils and her husband J Rod. They talk about sex, intimacy, and relationships on their podcast, and they are blowing up, and they're selling out comedy clubs across the country at this point. And I did Philly comedy, not Philly Comedy Club. I did Helium in Philly, and it was like that. It was just like it was sold out. Like the audience was there to laugh, and it was kind of like, and I felt it. Like the first thing I said, they were just like cracking up, and I was just like,
yeah,
like this is going to be, and not easy, but this is like taking candy from a baby. You know what I mean?
know it's like, oh, you guys want to laugh, good. Yeah, man, those are always cool settings.
Always good. And at that show too, since it was sold out, I didn't like promote it because there was no need to. But people that I knew were like in the audience. They didn't know I was going to be there. So
yeah,
That was cool. You know what I mean,
And that's what's up, man.
from high school was there, but they didn't know. They were like, "Oh shoot, I know you're gonna be on the show."
Yo, bro, did you change your number? I tried calling you last week. You on my son's favorite website.
Right.
With that, as we do on the show, we like to give some recommendations and suggestions to the people, to the streets, to the birds. Yeah. Let's get some prop suggestions. My prop suggestion for this one is if in professional life, whether that be comedy or if you're in the office and such, if you're trying to get some sort of a upgrade or advancement in it, or you're say an opportunity comes up where you may be able to be up for some sort of promotion, my prop suggestion is to touch base with someone that is already in that role. That's always just whether, again, it could be comedy, someone who's maybe you're trying to get on like a particular show, or you submitted something for a festival, maybe touch base with someone that has done that festival and has done that process, or even in the office space, someone who is maybe have been in the role that you are currently in and is now in a role that you are inquiring about. Touch base with them. It's never gonna come off, I shouldn't say never, obviously there's communication styles and all that stuff, but if you're showing genuine interest, a lot of times people are going to be open to discussing their experiences with you, and it's never going to hurt to hear their process from it, because then you could take that and use it for your process. So that's my prop suggestion.
It's a really good suggestion and no one knows it like them. So it's kind of like, right, if you want to get there, just ask them. That makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I think that for my suggestion, stay along the same lines of professionalism. But I feel like I recommend that everybody shoot their shot. Meaning, go after what you want, email who you want, call who you want, show up where you want to be. I do that. So in comedy, like New York comedy, right, is completely different than any other comedy scene I've ever been involved in, whatever, because there's so many comedians. Unless you're like friends with someone, or you're like one of them bulls, like one of them comedians, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People don't reach out to book that much. You have to reach out to get booked, because there's so many comedians. What's the odds I'm keeping you top of mind unless I'm your friend, or unless you're like really one of them bulls, you know what I'm saying? But like, so what I mean by shooting your shot is like, you have to say like, yo, I'm trying to be on your show. What do I got to do to get on your show? Go to that show. Hey, my name's Alan. It's so nice to meet you. Just want to know what I got to do to get on the show. So you have to message managers, agents. You got to be proactive and shooting your shot. It's not going to just come to you. And I think a lot of people in a lot of different industries, but I know comedy in particular, they sit back and they be like, let me sit back, let me get booked there, or let me sit back, let me get this role. Like that's not how it happened. You gotta go do it. You gotta shoot your shot. You gotta send that email. You gotta follow up. You gotta pull up. And I think that's I recommend. I feel like a lot of my opportunities, literally, they may not have came from that actual email, but that email got me to meet someone who then put me into to meet someone else. You know what I'm saying? But like a lot of things that I've gotten, I went and got. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I feel like people should do that in all walks of life. Like, you want a job, email the HR lady, call the HR person for the job. Hey, you guys hiring? If not, can I give you my resume? Keep on file. Like, you gotta like.
Yeah, if she doesn't show up or she doesn't respond, show up to her house, knock on the door, bring some bananas, have some treats,
and don't stop there. If she doesn't answer the door, go through the window.
Go through the window.
Exactly.
Don't do that. Please don't do that. I feel like we've been given sage advice this whole episode, and then we can't play that part off.
Yeah. So that's my suggestion.
No, that's solid. That's I definitely that's not a bad one, dude. I feel like effort in general. Damn, we really are doing like a motivational episode. I feel like effort in general. Cruises, get ready. Whenever you show effort, or not even show, whenever you do effort, whenever you produce that for yourself, even if you don't get the results that you necessarily wanted at that time, I'm of the personal belief that effort isn't something that just goes away. Like if you put effort out there, it's going to attach to something. It may not be the thing that you were necessarily aiming for at that time, but you producing that effort is going to gravitate and I don't know, with some sort of magnetic field in a way. It's going to attach to something. And that may even just be attached to a better self-confidence or knowing how to navigate next time something else comes up. So yeah, always do the effort, show the effort, sure. But when you do the effort, that kind of shows itself.
So it does show itself, the work that you put in.
We're some cornballs, bro. We are some cornballs. We're really on some like motivational. We're like, if you dream, you could make it a thing that you could believe, and you can make it happen. All the stars will align.
If you build it, they will come.
We are butchering these sayings, but they know what we mean.
Look, all right, look. So let's get out of being cornballs real quick. Let's talk about some hot takes that, because I know I feel strongly about this, very strongly, and I'm so glad that you sent this as one of the topics.
Okay.
The creator of Friends, donates $4 million. To, I don't know where they donated to, but they donated the money because of the lack of diversity in the show Friends.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure they donated to like probably some black fund or something.
I was about to say that's a big component in it too. Like, where are they donating that? Like, what constitutes like a black entity that they're donating to?
And I don't know if we're supposed to be donating money to Black Lives Matter still after the lady got caught.
I know
all that money.
If this lady is donating money just to BET, I'm like, I think BET plays Friends now. I don't know where to, but she is donating $4 million.
BET is white owned too, so that's not somewhere you should donate it.
No, that's what, yeah. If we turn on BET right now, we're gonna see the best of Chandler Bing. That's a Friends character.
That's why Jack Harlow was nominated for BET Awards.
Man, always hating on my boy Jack.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, Jack's my boy.
I forget. He comes up he became up like the last 5 episodes.
Jack Harlow.
But look, cool, great. They're donating $4 million because they understand that there weren't any black people in a show based in New York. So I think that's good. Great.
So she Martha Kaufman, she states her lack of diversity. She states that she's embarrassed, and it was after what happened to George Floyd that I began to wrestle with my having brought into systemic racism in ways I was never aware of, Kaufman said. That was really the moment that I began to examine the ways I had participated. I knew then that I needed correct. I needed to correct the course. All right. Yeah. I mean, that's sure that if that's like how she's genuinely feeling, fine. One thing that I find that it kind of irks me a little bit, I'm curious your take on it, is that I feel like a lot of times people will bring up George Floyd as like a landmark event, which in a lot of ways, yes. But it feels like it's brought up in a way of like, man, when that happened, that's when my eyes open. That's when I first realized this thing. And it just feels a little bit, I don't want to say like trivializing it, but I don't know. It just feels kind of like blindsided a little bit of like, yeah, no, of course that's been happening for quite some time. And I guess it could feel a little annoying at time of being like, oh yeah, this is when I realized it. But maybe that's cynical on my end.
No, man. No, it's very, very frustrating when white people say stuff like this.
Yeah.
What do you mean it took for somebody to die on camera for you to realize you ain't had no diversity in your show? Like, what are you talking about? Black people have been dying at the hands of police forever. So when Michael Brown died, that didn't spark anything in your brain. When Eric Garner died, you didn't think, hey, maybe I could have black people on my show. But now George Floyd, I don't like it. I don't like it, man. It's like, what kind of person are you for all these things to happen over this amount of time, and for this to be like, oh, you know what? My very successful show. Like, come on, man. Like,
I feel like I hear that one a lot of like I'll hear along the lines of like when George Floyd happened, like they treat it like it was a huge concert. sort of
Right.
thing of like, when this happened, oh, I remember where I was. And it was almost like this like fun nostalgic thing. That I don't know their experience necessarily. It seems like a lot, it brings some reflection, which I think is not a terrible thing. Not a terrible thing. I think it could be frustrating how it's voiced, and especially like if you maybe know a little bit more of the history behind it, sort of thing. But yeah, it's to tie it into the show and giving back 4 million and saying that that made you reflect on it in a city of New York where it's like you've had this successful show and just know. I mean, I guess she does address that of like her contributions to the idea of systemic racism by not having any black characters on this huge show. I think Aisha Taylor was on like the last season or something like that. Um, I think she like dated Ross. I do watch the show. It's not a bad show, but it feels a little hollow at times that this is what makes you realize that.
Yeah, I kind of just wish you would just said, "Hey, I realized that I was wrong," and left George Floyd out of it.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's getting to a point. What's up? You can have it. Yeah, it's fine. Um, it's just getting to the point where they're using it like for everything. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I realized when George Floyd, and it's like, bro, it doesn't help. It doesn't make me feel better knowing that you thought a certain way and it only changed because you seen a black man die at the hands of the cops on tape.
Yeah. And it wasn't even. I think it's just the. I don't want to say the commercialization of the incident, but it's the what came out of the incident. I don't think it was necessarily that because we've seen that happen before on tape. I think it's the results of what happened and how it became kind of a national outcry. I think that is what impacted people more so than the loss of a life. At least that's how I see it.
White people act like George Floyd affected them more than us. They'd be like, George Floyd made me think. Like, man, how do you think I feel? Like, what are you talking about? Just be like, yo, I made a mistake, and I realized that I participated in furthering systemic white racism with my show friends, and leave it at that. Don't be like, I had to see this. I had to experience all. I don't care if it's the truth. I don't. I don't care if
Right.
it's the truth. I don't. It doesn't help me. And I'm pretty sure it's not a lot of black people out there that are like, oh, I'm glad you've seen the George Floyd thing and decided to donate money. Not one of
Yeah.
us is like, just donate the money and say, do it. Don't,
You don't have to like bring it up. You don't even have to like make a thing about it. You can just do it.
yeah.
I think it ties into the idea of like we talk about white fragility a little bit, and just kind of like tying into the idea of like, oh, well, this made me reflect in a way, and now I see it, and I want to be vulnerable and vocal about how I'm
Yeah.
feeling now. Where it's like a lot of times you kind of just do the thing without necessarily making it about you and your feelings. And not, I don't necessarily know if that's what she's doing. I mean, if we're reading articles about it, I imagine there was some sort of interview about it. Also, I'm not going to question this lady's pockets, but $4 million off Friends, I feel like that show is making billions per episode. Where are we doing? Come on, huh?
And listen, I held off from bringing this up throughout this conversation long enough, but she stole the Friends idea from Living Single.
Yeah.
You stole the idea from a black show and then they put no black people in it.
Mm.
And then you want to tell me that because you've seen a black person die, now you realize you was wrong? Come on, man. No, I don't want to hear none of this.
I think she should silently donate at least 4 million to Kim Fields personally. That's what I think right off the bat.
Right.
And then yeah, and from that I feel like we get a good amount of just reparations from the creator of Friends. And the amount of money that Friends makes, like if she really wanted to reflect, just like give reparations without saying a word. That could be a way, but highly unlikely, I suppose.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm glad you donated the $4 million, but Khadijah and Maxine are upset, okay, and Overton needs some money too.
Yeah, so we producer Pat tried finding where they were donating it to, but he couldn't find it. So maybe it wasn't revealed in the interview. It's kind of a vague we donated. Maybe it's like the Amber Heard thing where it's like
says it right here. Oh, never mind. Support a distinguished scholar with a concentration in the study of peoples and cultures of African Americans, diaspora. So wait, they're giving them into some college thing?
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Like, just give it out one by one.
According to the LA Times, Kaufman's $4 million African American Studies program will support a distinguished scholarship.
Oh yeah, no, I see it.
Okay.
That's cool, I guess. I feel like a cool way to do it, a systemic way to do it, is get a street team. Get a street team. You give each member of a street team like $1 million, and then each person kind of gives it out, like the what was it, the fairy godmother, and just kind of gives it out to Black people throughout the city of New York. I think that's something that could be pretty helpful. If you want to like maybe watermark the money with like a friend's logo or something like that, that's the way they can know, I guess. But I think that would be a pretty clutch way and perhaps sincere way of doing it.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, man. Because this whole telling me George Floyd died so we can so somebody gets $4 million is killing me, man. No pun intended.
Yeah. Oh boy,
it's it. Oh, they said rebooted with the all black. That's the thing, Pat. Producer Pat said rebooted with the all black cast. And I'm telling you, that was already a thing. Yeah. Living Single was the Black Friends before Friends. They took the whole idea, whitened it, gentrified Living Single, and now Friends is Friends. And white people have no idea. They just think that this woman is just this genius. No, she stole the whole format, the whole idea. It's known. Like,
where do you find In Living Single now? Like, because I don't think it's really syndicated like that. I feel like WB had it.
No, I feel like Netflix might have had. Netflix might have had like, I think they had a lot of the old black shows on there. Let me see if I can find it. Living Single.
It's gonna give you a bunch of dating apps. Be careful, man.
So you can get Living Single free on Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and it comes on. This is hilarious. It comes on BET today.
Oh, all right. Right before Friends. That's good. We get to do a side-by-side analysis.
Right.
Cool, man.
So yeah, so Living Single still out here in these streets, you know what I'm saying? It was great. It was crazy because I think we were in like Walmart one day. And my daughter like seen like a Friends t-shirt. I was like, hey, can I get this t-shirt? And I was like, no. I like explain all why not.
You're just waiting in line, holding an air conditioner, telling her about the history of television in the 90s. Oh, that's ridiculous.
That's how we roll in my household.
My goal for the day, one, I need to set the air conditioner. I've had an air conditioner for over a month and haven't set it up because I didn't know which room I was going to set it up in. But I was burning yesterday, so I just need to set it up somewhere. And that and UFC tonight. I know it's not necessarily your bag, but it's International Fight Week. Israel Adesanya versus Jared Kinnear. Max Holloway versus Alex Volkanovski. Part 3. They're doing the trilogy. Oh my God. I'm very excited for this one. So that's going to be my night at Buffalo Wild Wings. Shout out to Ray.
Shout out to Ray. Was that your bartender?
No, man. Ray's my homie, man. Ray's I think I've talked about Ray before. Ray was one of my closest friends since I was like 15 or so. And we have a ritual. We go see the UFC fights at Buffalo Wild Wings. And tonight, the ritual continues. It's gonna be nice.
What's your favorite wing sauce?
Usually I go with the Asian Zing. Asian Zing or some variation of Chipotle.
This sounds racist.
It is. No, it's they have this Asian Zing cauliflower, boneless cauliflower wings, and that's my go-to. So, ooh, and I actually got the sauce and been making it with chicken thighs lately. It's nice. Yeah, it's been good.
No, I rock with cauliflower, yo, heavy.
Yeah, and also it doesn't make you feel heavy. You feel full, but not heavy.
Right. I like that. That's a good way to end the episode on cauliflower talk.
Yeah, man. Well, you've been listening. Usually you listen to proper Ebonics, but today you've been listening to positive Ebonics with Kirk and Alan. Shout out to producer Pat on that one. I saw that in the chat. I was like, that's funny. That's probably what we'll call the episode.
Yeah, probably. I like it.
Cool, man. Well, I'll be seeing you on Wikipedia and IMDB. I guess. For people listening, I don't know if it's going to come out by then, but I'll be at Fergie's on July 6th in Philadelphia, along with Philly's Funniest on July 12th in Philadelphia as well. So feel free to look out for that.
Yeah. July 7th is the Mass Hysterical show at
Ooh,
Satellite Art Club in Brooklyn.
very nice. Very
July
nice.
7th is that, and then July 9th, I'm in Jersey City. You know what I'm saying?
Jersey.
So, we posting everything. And, at the end of the episode, we're going to have the schedules. If you're watching this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just hold on a second, and everything going to just pop up on the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on a second, and then wait for it to autoplay the previous episode. It's going to be very delightful. Very delightful.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Well, good talking to you, Kirk. I'll holler at you next time.
Yeah, man. Always cool chatting. Chat you up later. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and put away your pens in one spot so you don't lose them.
I put mine in a cup.
There you go. See ya.
All right. Peace.